Hi everyone, #1 Marmaduke fan here. So this week I decided I'd stop being a G.I. Joe virgin and check out some G.I. Joe comics. My older brother was a big G.I. Joe guy. I kind of barely missed the boat on Transformers and G.I. Joe. When I was barely forming memories as a little kid, I remember seeing like a Transformers commercial, but I was never into Transformers, and I never watched an episode of G.I. Joe till I was an adult. And man, I even had a hard time like knowing which Transformers were which. I kind of watched the first blockbuster Michael Bay Transformers movie, and then I haven't watched any since. So these were not my franchises, but Zach convinced me to take a look at some Joe stuff. I think he kind of slowly roasted A Real American Hero for some of the comics being a bit too dense for a newbie to jump into. So I was lucky and I found a couple #1s. So there's not enough about these two for me to do a video on yet. I might have to look at them a bit more carefully and decide if there's anything really in the art that I'm seeing to make application from. So all I'm going to say about these two is I liked them. I liked them both. Don't get this confused with the Transformers versus G.I. Joe comic being published by IDW. Apparently there are two whole comic book companies who have published titles based on the concept of the Transformers fighting G.I. Joe. There were a couple wonky drawings in this for perspective, but I think it was generally really solid, and the Transformers looked cool, the fighting was cool. This was a neat little intro to the concept, and I'm pretty sure this is its own universe, by the way, because Snake Eyes becomes Snake Eyes in the course of this first book, so I'm guessing it's its own universe. So apparently it's really hard to find these because IDW has the license now, so I can't find them digitally anywhere. If any of you guys have clues where I can find the rest of the Image series, I want to check out more of it. This was really good. Introduced me to the characters well. Scarlet has a nice butt. She and Snake Eyes apparently have a thing. So I'm really invested, and I want to see the rest of this series. I already bought the digital book of this, so I'll probably read the whole thing of that in a sitting. But this is what I want to talk about for a video. This was a convention special handout from a while ago, and I am just digging all of the pencils and concept art, getting to see the notes where the artist is making notations on what the characters are saying. I caught a typo, but that's okay because it's just pencil sketches. Woo, regarded that, right? He's just making a quick little notation to kind of have a visual cue for what the expression should be. This was a little weird, like having the panel float right above his head. So the reason I'm looking at this and I'm so interested in this is if I were, a comic book emperor and I could direct my own company, I'd want pencil sketches essentially to be something that were always published leading up to a new book. So I guess that would have spoiler problems, but I'd probably want every page of pencil sketches, every page of inks published online in some archive, for all the people who are interested in the artistic, creative practice behind it. Maybe release them the day of the comic book coming out. But man, I love this so much. There was something in the introduction that made reference to case files. And I don't know if that means just like little extra data about G.I. Joes or more stuff like this. Because if it's more pencil sketches and ink and concept art, I'd go pick that up right away. Whenever Zach talks about those old comics and magazines that would be published with artist interviews, my inner art history geek, it starts salivating because I just want to read all those interviews and find as much behind the scenes info as I can. That to me is as important as the fictional story and the effect of the fictional story is. And I can, even if I don't like a franchise or a fictional story that much, I'll like it more if I can connect with the artists and their practice and how they're building these ideas and these universes behind the scenes. I really dug this. I've got no idea where you can find it. Maybe if you're lucky, you can find it in a 50-cent bin at a comic book shop like I did. Who was the publisher? So it was published by Image, and I don't know, it was a convention special, which means you're probably going to have to find it used from someone if you choose to go hunt this down. But I love it so much, like the hair, right? So there in the sketch, the hair is kind of pointed a bit more straight up, and here, I don't know if that's such a weird character, hair or a wig or whatever, but now there's a little bit more flutter to it. This is actually a bit more dynamic, a bit more woomph, you know? But I guess this is a bit more realistic, that there'd be some flutter and wind. And I don't know if the sound effect was added in the final art on whatever this page is from, but it's interesting to see, you know, the idea of the sound effect there, and it's creating a lot of energy to that page, and it's gone here. So does that mean they refer to the pencil sketch later to add the onomatopoeia? Does the letterist decide that? I actually kind of like having that there. Oh, okay, this is the one I really want to talk about. Just this loose sketch of a building, right? That's maybe like 1 minute. I bet you that was, no, not 1 minute. That was like 10 seconds of drawing. Right? And then you have the idea and you have the placement ready to go. And you can redraw it, redraft it, be a little bit more careful for future drafts, but that's all you need to get the imagination rolling and the imagination in gear. If you were using a 3D model and you just plopped it down, this is all the energy, even in crude form, that a 3D model lacks, and this gives you enough of an idea that if you later reference a 3D model, what you'd want to preserve is the energy of this kind of a rough draft drawing, even if you use a 3D model to kind of help you understand things like where the windows are supposed to go and how high a floor is supposed to be. But man, I'm digging that. Huge collection of artists, and then they also have some pinups of, you know, Scarlet looking hot, and Snake Eyes. Man, I don't know anything about this franchise, but the art of this series is really selling me on it. So I think I'm gonna have to go check out more, because they're getting some really cool stuff going on here. So, #1 Marmaduke fan. I'll have like a real review of something I'm really passionate about later, but this was swell. The G.I. Joe Image, A Real American Hero Image Convention Special 2002. See if you can dig it up somewhere. Catch you later.